Okay, well, we're all here.
How about
Yay.
that? Yay, it's been a while.
I
I know.
know. Okay, so I already pushed record, Carmen.
Oh, good.
So tonight we are discussing episode 805, Send for the Devil, written by Luke Shellhaus
Mhm.
and directed by Neil McCormick. I'm Courtney Williams, producer of Outlander Behind the Scenes. And tonight I am drinking this very kind of Eastery, colorful electrolytes in my spaghetti sauce jar. And they're delicious. My daughter's into them, and she made me one yesterday, and I was like, ooh, yum. And before I do my overall impression, I just want to say that today is the 10th anniversary of my blog. I
Wow.
launched this blog.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I launched this blog on April 6th, 2016.
Wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, congratulations to all of us. Here we are, and we're doing a tour this weekend. And
Hmm.
what the heck is all this crazy stuff? And we have this wonderful sisterhood, like so
Hmm.
much gratitude.
Yep.
So
But
my,
as
yeah.
you're on that, Courtney,
Mhm.
um, I was looking at your Instagram feed, and I'm saying to myself, "Damn, Courtney does excellent work." No, I was looking at the stories and all the stuff, and I'm saying you do a shit ton of work, and it is always
Hmm.
top tier. So, congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Diana said one time it's always about the work,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I really feel that way. So, like, even though people want our discussions faster, I want to put out a good product with
Yeah.
that's well edited and I take my time with my articles and all that stuff. So that means a lot to me. Thank you.
Mhm.
So once again, this episode 805, I watched it really early on Friday morning because I knew it was going to be a busy Easter weekend, and I felt like another 803 to me. It felt like a great, excellent ride. I was really sucked in, and I was just like on the edge of my seat for the entire time. And it's covered stuff that I usually don't find that interesting, but I think they did a really good job. And I was very engaged. I enjoyed it a lot. I was very emotional. I thought it was an excellent episode.
Hello, I am Catherine Toomer, or Kathy Harmon, as most people know me as. And I am, oh, I didn't say what I was drinking. Did I say that first? Anyway,
No,
I'm drinking spicy margarita. So that's why I don't know what order I'm doing this in. Um, um, so I have come to BTS through Blacklanders, which I'm doing again this season. So I will be doing next two episodes for Convos. And I am a family physician, so I enjoy some of the medical stuff. Thanks to Carmen for reintroducing my change in how I watch shows. And my overall impression of this was um, I really felt, oh no, we're more than halfway through. I was sad watching the whole thing because I'm like, I don't want this to end. But it was so good. It was really, really good. And I just kind of noticed it. And the other thing I realized, I watched it on a different television in my house that hadn't been changed for watching basketball games by my husband. And it completely changed how beautiful it was.
what does basketball
Every
games mean?
because the view there's some dynamic basketball setting on televisions and it changes how all other shows look. They're very bright and very, and so this was muted and it was looked more like paintings and it was
Interesting.
so beautiful. And so I
Mm.
just remember thinking, this is the beauty I missed from before. And I realized that I wasn't watching it on the right way. But my overall impression was just it was beautiful visually and in every aspect of the show.
I just want to say real quickly that I feel like I'm going through to each episode. I think I'm crying more because I'm like, oh, and I feel like they're at the top of their game.
Yes.
Don't
I
quit
think there's
now.
going to be a movie. Watch. They're going to do
Be
a Downton
like
Abbey
Michael
on us.
Jordan and come back.
They're going to do a Downton Abbey on us. They're going to make a movie. I
I'm
think
holding
that's what
out
they're going
for
to
a
do.
reunion season
Mm, I hope so. That would be ideal, but um, because people aren't ready.
for that to
They just
end.
need a break, and then they're going to miss it, and then they're going to
That
come back.
so I think we're gonna. I saw. Did you guys see the ad for Blood of My Blood in this?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, well, there was an ad for season two when I first watched this episode. I think we're gonna see that,
Oh, I saw
and
that. Yeah.
and
And they're going to merge
then
them.
they're
That
gonna
was
have a
nice.
reunion season, and they're gonna
Yes.
have worked and done other things and be like, okay, I'm ready
Yeah,
for this job again. That's what I'm
I know.
holding out for. Okay, Carmen, we haven't even gotten past intros.
Oh, one last thing. I do want to say that I am wearing,
Yeah.
in homage to my daughter, this is a Howard hat. She did her master's in public health at Howard, and today is Public Health Week.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah. Looks very good on you. Is it sparkly?
it is. It's got
Yeah.
sequins. It's all sequined.
Of course it does.
Sparkly for sparkly.
I This was a great episode. I enjoyed it. It was very busy. There was a lot going on, and it kept my attention from the get-go. But one of the things that really, oh, excuse me, I'm Carmen Schmidt. And I didn't get much sleep last night, so maybe that's what's going on.
Oh,
My name is Carmen Schmidt, and I am an anatomist, a professor for over 35 years and nearly 40 years. And I love all of the science and the medicine and the anatomy that comes up in these episodes very much. I am drinking water tonight, cold well water from my well, and it's the most delicious water in the world.
oh, I bet. Okay, that's on our field trip. I'm drinking some of that water when we go to
Yeah.
Carmen's.
Good night, all. Oh, I'm Antoinette, and I'm drinking. Can you see? Coconut water out of my red cup. I'm trying to be good because I have early I have to be at work early tomorrow. So there's no liquor in it. And my overall impression of this episode was damn, 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 damn. This episode was a great episode. Great episode. I think it is almost edging 803 as my favorite episode so far. And I loved 803. So,
Okay. Well, let's dive in. Catherine, what was your favorite scene?
Ooh, that's hard. Um, I would say my favorite scene was when Elspeth and Claire were together, and just the fear, that shared fear, but that almost like they were trauma bonding. And that is, um, they respect each other. It was very obvious. And I just felt like even though they were on opposite sides of the issue, there was a level of trust. There was a connection between them, and it was very well acted. It was very well written, and I just thought that it was very realistic. And I that was my favorite scene.
Okay. Carmen?
Uh, well, I had several, but I will say that I enjoyed enjoyed is not the right word. I was impressed by the fight scene between Jamie and Cunningham. It was really well executed, well done, fast, surprising. It had surprising elements to it, and I thought that that was a really good, not only good description or writing of the scene, but also the good acting by the two actors. So I'll put that on my list.
Okay. That was, I was like, this is so weird. Am I really putting the action scene, the standoff between Jamie and Cunningham? I don't think I've ever had something like that as a favorite scene, but it was so well done, so well choreographed
Yes.
also, you know, and I think those two did the majority of it. I think there might have been a stunt person for the, you know, where they fly on the ground. But for the most part, I thought it was those two. And even, you know, the dialogue, everything, the timing, it was very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end where he Cunningham is holding the gun on Jamie and Sam's face, you can see him just like get ready to meet his maker, you know,
Yeah.
and he's just like, this is it. And I told Claire it wasn't it. And here I go. And then he flinches when the gun goes off. And then it's Buck, you know, and then his transformation. I just thought that whole scene was fabulous.
Yeah.
And it's such a dude scene, but I really liked it. Oh,
Okay.
but I didn't. Okay, so I'll pick another favorite. Then my
No.
other, because that was Carmen's, I was just
Okay.
echoing. Mine would probably be actually the sequence of Roger with the injured soldier and then the little boy and then the other injured soldier. I felt that whole thing was so beautifully done and Richard just killed it. I was bawling during all of that. I was really it kind of made me think of episode 412 with you know, you guys remember with the priest and the
So,
you know, Joyeon, where she burns herself in the fire with her beloved and all that.
mhm.
And Roger was that was basically his whole episode. It felt when I first started, I thought, oh boy, but you know, it was contained, but it was really, really beautifully done.
Okay. I had several also. I mean, the whole episode was my favorite scene, if I'm honest. But the scene in the lodge was my favorite scene.
Which one?
The meeting, the lodge meeting itself, you know, that whole scene, the
What'd you like
tent,
about it?
everything, the the tension in the air, you can feel it. It was just so very well done. It drew me in, and you could and the camera work when they would switch from Jamie to Cunningham, and it was just so well done that it stood out for me as and became my favorite scene. But it was a hard choice because I had so many others, but that scene was so excellently done. And it had, of course, the some lines that always get me right in the gut. So yeah, that was my favorite.
Okay, let's go on to what worked for you, Catherine.
Oh boy, what a long list. What worked for me was the interaction, the dialogue between everyone. It just seemed that it was realistic in a way that wasn't trying to be dramatic outside of normal life, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I could imagine overhearing that conversation somewhere and not thinking, wow, that's weird. Why are they talking like that? It really was very realistic. I know that sounds weird, but that's how I felt.
No, I actually listen. I actually think about that because of you. Is this something people would say in real life? Because you always
Mhm.
bring that up.
Mhm.
Yeah. And maybe because I listen to people a lot, I'm always kind of, when growing up, I was always one of the youngest. And so, in order to hear the older people talking, I was always kind of quiet off in a corner and no one knew I was there. And so I listened to a lot of conversations. And then, of course, just in general, I tend to be quiet, although you wouldn't know this, but no, around you guys, I'm not. But in general, I tend to be pretty quiet. Like when I was in Scotland, I didn't talk a whole lot. When I'm
Oh,
around a
I
lot of
know. I
people,
see
I
what you're
tend to
saying.
be very
Yeah. When you're
quiet.
not with like us. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I hear a lot. I listen a lot. And so when I hear something that seems a little off, I notice it. And I just felt like in this episode there was nothing that was off. Maybe except one scene, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have one too.
Okay. Well, let's go on then. Carmi, what worked for you?
Well, there were quite a few things, so I'll name it two or three.
Yep.
One was I got a kick out of Roger's kung fu move when he was doing his sword fight because he kicks the leg out from underneath his opponent, and it was just kind of this backhand, you know, kicked it out and the guy went down. And he had sort of a smug little look on his face after he did it. I just thought that was fun. I really like Jamie quoting the Declaration of Ardbroth. It just so happens that it is the birthday today of that declaration, 706 years ago. It was a letter written to Pope um, John the 22nd, I think it was, um, by Scottish lords declaring that they didn't want to be under English rule. And I really liked that. I liked having it included. It is a heroic statement and a one that reminds us all of how precious our freedoms are. Um, I thought that uh, I thought it was very clever when Aaron Whitaker arrives with the news about Cunningham because that's a very complicated story arc. And I wondered how they were going to compress that all in, and get it in to make sense. And he did it so swift that using him in that way as the reporter of what he witnessed was just as clever as it could be, I thought. And I thought that was really well done. So I think that Luke either choosing or being assigned this episode was brilliant because I think he writes male scenes very, very well. And this was had a lot of men's action in it. There were some women, but most of it was about men and their experience with life, what kinds of things that they were experiencing, and so forth. And I think Luke is quite gifted at that. And he nails Jamie's character really, really well. He knows Jamie, I feel.
Yeah. Now I think he does.
Yes,
He's learned. But
yes.
yeah.
We can say that early on we had some complaints about Luke, but I think he rose to the occasion in this instance.
Oh, this one was a master class.
Yeah.
Okay, some things that worked for me. And Carmen, you brought this up on the last discussion that was the uncaptured part, which is the reintroduction of the character of Buck really is working for me.
Yeah.
I feel like he's filling a space, almost like a Murtaugh role, where it's just that person who's there and he knows the kids, they know him, he's a tough guy. It's just a really great addition. And I think German Murtaugh is doing a really good job. Funny, his last name is Murtaugh.
Yeah.
Um, Fanny, Flory Wilkinson is such a good little actress. Even in that little scene where she says, "Is it a bear?" And he's like, "I don't know, but go to the house." I mean, she just so convincing. And you notice they shot over all the other kids. So I just showed her. She really works for me. I want to do a shout out to makeup and hairdresser for this season. I mean, Amaranthus hair is just a work of art. If you guys have noticed the back of how her hair is done, the wigs don't distract me. Nothing is distracting me, and so to me that means it's really well done. And her name is Jules Chapman. And the little title card with the drummer really worked for me. I loved seeing how, as soon as he started playing that drum, the soldier jumped into action. I thought that was cool. And then, of course, we see the drummer later.
One of the drawbacks of going last is that y'all steal my stuff.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
briefly, you used the word that I was going to use with regard to the writing. The writing was masterful. He pulled together all of these disparate threads and just made it seamless. It was just wonderful. And the other thing that worked for me was the camp. I don't know who does the blocking and setting up of the scenes. Is if it's a combination of the director and the cameraman, but the scene setups really worked for me because how the characters were positioned, everybody who had anything impactful to say, the scenes were designed in a way that you could focus on them even though they weren't main characters. You know,
Hmm.
nobody was overshadowed or overpowered, even if they had just a big part. That really, really worked for me. And the close-ups were just phenomenal. The close-ups of Jamie, the close-ups of Claire and Mrs. What's her face,
Cunningham.
and the close-ups, and especially how they would go from one close-up to the next close-up, especially with Jamie and Cunningham.
Yeah.
Masterful. That really, really worked for me.
Okay. I actually noticed that, Antoinette, on probably my third watch, your favorite scene in the lodge, how they had all the characters set up and then
Mm-hmm.
they showed them. They were like in a horseshoe almost, but it was almost like art the way they
Yeah,
were arranged. And
yeah.
then I'll just say, just slip in right here. I thought the device in that scene of using Hiram Crombie to start telling the story of Sangha and her, how she can't do her stuff anymore. And as we watched Jamie look around and assess everything that was going on and what Cunningham was doing, I thought was a really good device
Mm-hmm.
for that scene. Okay, go ahead, Catherine. What else worked for you?
What worked really well for me was just the directing in general. There were, it was very clear that they were tapped into their zones of genius, for lack of a better way of putting it. It just seemed that Jamie and his facial expressions and his physicality, Claire and her facial expressions. And what really worked for me also was when Claire was laying out her tools of her trade. Um, and often in the past, what they've done is they've shown her compartmentalize where she just focuses on what needs to happen and she becomes very medical. In this regard, it was Jamie. She was laying it out for Jamie in case she needed to save his life. And she was very emotional and she did not separate her medical mind from her wife mind. And that was very realistic. And I felt that it was a good inclusion because normally what they do is they separate her emotions from her work. And in this case, they didn't. So that worked for me.
I really liked how that scene was edited.
Mhm.
They showed her doing the table, but then they cut it off and then they into the next thing and onto the.
And then they showed her at the end shaking, drinking, taking a drink, like I need to calm my nerves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to be a doctor and a wife and a savior at the same time.
I thought Ben being at the camp at the end was really another brilliant way to bring him in and draw that story more, flesh out that story. Because again, in the books, that's a complicated arc. It takes a long time to get through all of the aspects of it, and this was just brilliant. In just a couple of minutes, in just a few seconds, actually, we realized what was going on here. And another one that really worked for me is that I feel that Rick has found a new sense for me, maturity and serenity that suits his part very well, that I haven't really seen that much of in him in earlier episodes when he was still doing pastoral work. But I never quite felt like he was really into it. But I feel like now he really is convincing in his role to me. And so I was really pleased to see that. And I couldn't help but wonder if his engagement and marriage had anything to do with that. Being a romantic, it kind of it has me thinking about that. So those were two elements that really worked well for me.
I actually thought of you when I was watching those scenes because you've made that comment before that he's doing, he's so much more believable as a minister. And man, he was so good in those
He,
scenes.
he was he was good.
Roger speaking French worked for me.
Yeah.
Remember, he spoke French in the Mohawk village to communicate with Joyeon, or I think so, yeah. I thought that the Roger writing a letter was a good vehicle for to show us his mental state. And while we got to look at the camp and all of his training and stuff like that, you know, this pretty much this whole episode worked for me. The scene with Jamie and Claire and Buck also worked for me. Like Catherine was saying, it was a needed scene. What they were saying made sense. It moved the story forward. It was believable. They were trying to figure this out. It wasn't like soap opera where you're kind of like, obviously, they're really working it out. And it worked for me. Buck really works for me being there.
Yeah.
And the Bree and Williams scenes worked for me in this episode better than last episode. And I was trying to figure out why. And I think it's because the gunfire was going off. So she was a little bit, occupied by that and then, or preoccupied. And then also she was painting. So it, I don't know. She felt more believable. I don't know if that's why, but anyway, they worked
Could
for
be.
me.
The combination of the directing and writing overall worked, because a director can only work with what he's given in terms of the writing, and this director made full use of a wonderful script. So that definitely worked for me. And also, you all have touched on it briefly, all the little devices that they have used to flesh out the story. Because one of my worries, because they chose to follow so many different storylines, was how the hell are they going to bring all of these together, make them believable, and not make it feel all rushed? And if they're just trying to pack things in from the books to satisfy, the fans. And so Mr. Whitaker coming back. Remember, I said, that I'm
You called
sure
it.
they're gonna bring him back as the one who warns Jamie. So Mr. Whitaker coming back worked. The thing with Ben definitely worked. Roger and the letter, so that we could see and his inner view. all of those little devices because it fleshed in all the stuff that we knew was in the books, but would have been impractical to try and translate into one episode. So, all everything that they did along those lines really worked for me. And I said, oh shit, yeah, this is how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it, man. They're doing it.
Yeah.
What worked for me was the way they reintroduced Dr. Hunter and the
Yes.
fact that they didn't make it like Roger. It was interesting because you had to think, oh, wait, he doesn't know him. And then they didn't show this long scene about them figuring out how they knew each other or how they had the connection. He just mentioned, yeah, we figured it out this morning. I just like
Brilliant.
the way they did that and that they didn't make a big deal about it because that's normally what would happen in real life. You wouldn't sit there going, oh my gosh, oh my God. It would have been, oh, it just seemed very realistic and it was very well done. And they didn't make it very dramatic. It was just, I liked that. I liked how they did it.
Yeah. Carmen?
Yeah, I want to say that I think that Frances is becoming a fine little surgical nurse. And the thing that I really like about that bit is that I can see her taking up the mantle of Malva, which you remember how dear that Malva was to Claire in her heart. She was a child of her heart, and and that was a terrible blow to Claire. What happened to Malva, and now there's just a hint that maybe because Bree's not interested in that sort of thing, but this little girl is interested in that sort of thing, and I can see her becoming Claire's right hand lady myself.
Yep.
And Claire, I like how they're capturing the little moments that Claire so pleasantly, like the fact that she's like, I already gave him honey water and
She's very
Teldrick's,
proud of her. You can
yeah,
see it in the way that in her, it's subtle. She doesn't flash it to everybody, but I
yeah.
mean, she's really thinks this little girl is special.
Something else. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's delighted by her.
Yes.
Okay. I will also say the little touches, like I thought when the bomb went off by Roger and he flashed back to being a little boy,
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
And that's all they did. They
Yeah.
didn't say, I flashed back to when I was a little boy. It was just that's it. I mean, I was like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved how when Roger was speaking French to the little boy, and then he switched to talk to Denny, he kept speaking French because that's what would happen. I loved the storm. It's our third Wizard of Oz reference with the
Flying
Wicked
monkeys are
Witch.
next.
Yeah, with the Wicked Witch. I thought the transitions worked, going back and forth between Claire and Elspeth and the conflict on the ridge. And then and then I guess it was Bree and William were in there, but they did it in such a way that I didn't even really notice. I only
Mm.
noticed it one time, and that tells me they did a good job. You guys have touched on it, but Claire and Elspeth's complex relationship really works for me. I liked the camera work and the scene where Roger's blessing the bodies and they start from above and show you the
Mm.
bodies and then come down and then come up to Roger. Yeah, this director, excellent. Let's go on to least favorite scene, Kathy. Did you have one?
Oh, absolutely. My least favorite scene was the one between William and Emer. Oh God, I'm always messing up her name. Amaranthus.
You got it. That is it.
Amaranthus. I just thought it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
At a time when we're still sort of in that era where, it just seemed like they were so open and anyone could have seen them. And it just seemed he's so proper and he cares so much about propriety. And so him to be in that situation out and in the open, it just seemed weird. It just didn't work for me at all.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Ditto.
Is that yours?
That's exactly that was the only scene that really didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And when he pulls her across him, they're obviously making love, and yet he didn't pull down his trousers. How is that
No, I think she
work?
did it. I got the impression she jumped on him.
Mm-hmm.
Which was even so it just seems like, okay, granted his age, he was like, I don't care. But at the same time, it seemed like it would have been rather it would have been rather shocking. I don't think he already said he wasn't going to do anything. They were just dry humping.
Exactly.
What's that?
Deja vu.
Where have I heard that before? Dang.
So that's the impression I got. I didn't
Maybe
think
they
were
were
doing
dry humping. I don't know, but I mean, the movements looked like they were having intercourse to me, and I didn't figure
that's what dry humping looks like.
Okay, well then maybe it was.
Well, because he already said he wasn't going to do anything that would create a baby. I mean, that's what he said.
But that doesn't mean
he will. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
But
anyway, I didn't think that was a good scene.
Didn't you say this was in the book, Carmen, where in Antoinette that he
does put his hand up her skirt? Yes, in the book,
in the garden, like earlier than this.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively in their.
You mean earlier in the day or in
in their relationship? Earlier in their relationship.
Probably. I think it was before.
It was before.
Bree got there.
Yeah, Bree got there. Yeah.
Before she gets there.
I think it was when she gave him the thingy.
The vest. The beetle vest.
Oh, because she did bring it up, so maybe that's why they were including it.
Could be. I don't know. For some reason, it didn't bother me as much in the book, although I was a little surprised by it because it was very forward, and they were in the garden, although the garden is in that setting seemed to me like it was more protected and secluded than this one. I mean, they might as well be on a stage. So, but anyway, that was my least favorite scene.
Well, when that scene happened and they showed her face and she's going, when she hears his footsteps coming, I thought, Carmen was right. She's terrible. She knew it. Okay. So I'll do least favorite and what didn't work in one, because it was really only one thing. Is Elspeth slapping Jamie? I don't know why Luke has to put in some scene where a girl slaps Jamie, but that seems to be his signature thing, because she doesn't do that in Bees.
But she slaps a lot.
Elspeth? No. Well, in Bees, she only slaps Mandy. So
it just seems like his reflexes would have been fast enough to stop her.
Well, he did he did have his chest carved open.
That's true. That is true.
But it was an added thing, and Luke likes to add, he's the one that wrote the slap when Bree slapped Jamie.
Yeah.
In
we didn't
season
like that.
4 or 3. I think it's 4.
4.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, it's not necessary. I don't know what it is that he likes about women slapping Jamie, but I don't know. I was just like, that, what? Why did you put that in there?
Anyway. Yeah, I wasn't too pleased about that either. But
yeah, so you're in his house. You don't even know what happened. I don't know.
She doesn't have very good judgment, though, I have to say, because she says some pretty offensive things to people, and she's on their property or in their house, and it's
Mm,
Yeah.
like that's not what a guest does.
Well, I think she doesn't have great impulse control, maybe,
Yeah,
And then she was
Um,
also very upset. I mean, her son just got brought in
yeah.
but she
with the,
doesn't do that in the book. So that's all I'm
yeah.
saying is Luke added that
Okay.
in, and I don't really see why. And it's just seems to be something that he is drawn to. So, at least it wasn't Bree or Claire, at least it was her, but I just thought it was unnecessary. So that's it.
mhm.
Antoinette?
Well, my least favorite scene, of course, was the sex scene with William and Emma Watson. Uh,
Emma,
but
what's her name?
yeah, but at least nobody got naked, and I was very grateful for that because I didn't want to see anybody's bum. No, I'm sick of it. And you know what? That scene, especially why I didn't like that scene. Remember the scene in season 4 with Lord John in the people's house in the
Yes,
hallway with the man? It
Yeah.
just
yes,
brought that back to me because here they are in the open. It just didn't. I don't understand why they think that that would be believable.
yeah. We didn't care for that scene either.
No, no, definitely didn't work for me. That was my least favorite scene.
I have one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
So I want to know why there were so many candles in those houses. Claire's house had candles in every room. First of all, that's expensive. Second of all, they're
It's
precious. You
dangerous
preserve them. Third, it's dangerous. And fourth, they had oil lamps in those days. Why weren't they burning oil instead of, or,
because it
some
was
other?
visually beautiful.
It is visually beautiful, but it was distracting to me. And some
Mm.
of them, people would rush by and the candles wouldn't even shift. How
Yeah.
when
Flicker.
they flicker with the air movement. I did see one at Lord John's house, but I thought in Claire's house, I wondered if that wasn't added later,
Mm,
because if they weren't added by CGI, because they just didn't
Mm.
reflect the movement of air movement in the rooms
I just
that I
appreciated what
saw.
they did to the walls.
They did look good, both inside and out. The outside
Yeah.
of the house has been finished in
Hmm.
some way,
looks good.
rich color. It looks good.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. And did you notice that curtain that they have, that with that floral pattern? I don't know why I think we saw that pattern before, but on a sofa.
In Lord John's, you mean?
No, I don't remember where we saw it. It might have been Jocasta somewhere. When I saw the curtains, I said, I've seen that
Oh, was
flooring
that
pattern
on?
before.
There were curtains on Claire's windows. Is that
Hmm.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about? Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
didn't
I'll have
notice
to
those.
watch back an episode or two from season 4 to see where I saw that pattern before, but I know I've seen it.
All right, well, that's a good segue into things you noticed, Catherine.
Things I noticed. I noticed the the cinematography. Well, just how everything looked like a Rockwell painting. It's like every scene was laid out in a way so that either people were framed or there was just the framing was done very, very well. It just looked like a painting. Like if I took a screenshot of every single scene, you could frame it, especially when Claire and Elspeth were sitting in their chairs. And even the hat that Elspeth had on, like the little bonnet.
On it.
Yeah, it there were a lot of scenes where that could have been easily painted,
Mhm.
and it looked painted in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
So a lot of and the sets. I had been disappointed with the sets for many episodes, but not this one.
Hmm.
This was nice.
Mhm.
Well, I noticed that when Buck, after he shot Captain Cunningham, if you look at his rifle, it's pointed at the back of his head. or his upper torso. It's not pointed down toward his lumbar region. And I thought, well, I know that those muskets were notoriously inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
So if they weren't rifled, they weren't very accurate by today's standard at all. If it was a rifled, then he's a poor shot. He's like Roger. Roger. But I just noticed that because I thought, well, he's not standing that far away, and he's pointing his the barrel is pointing right straight out from his eye, and to reach the lumbar region, it would have to be directed inferiorly downward, and it wasn't. So I noticed that. I noticed that Brother Lindsay has a terrible wig. That and now most of the wigs I like, but his is just awful. I noticed when Roger was speaking to Christoph, he says "Je suis," and then Christoph answers, "I am ready." And that's
Yes.
Jamie's
Je
motto.
suis puis.
Je suis. I don't have any French training,
Je
so
sais
I can.
plus. Je suis
But
prêt.
anyway, they say
Although he
that
didn't
to
say
each
it
other.
properly, though he
Well,
rolled his
he's
R
probably
like he
said
was
it like
speaking.
me.
Well, he said it. He rolled his R like it was Spanish rather than as if it were French.
Well, but he's
The
he's
little boy,
Scottish, so it
or
might.
Yeah, the little
oh,
boy did.
oh, maybe because of his Scottish birth.
Yeah.
So I noticed that in the opening scene, Claire had her bee bonnet on, and she had her smoker in her hand. You could see this. You could see it from a distance, but then you could also see the smoke rising up when she was at the hive. But she had no gloves on. Now I can't believe that she would collect honey and give it to her husband and not have gloves on. So, I, being a bee woman in the past, I just want to say that. I also noticed that Cunningham used what appeared to be the same knife on Jamie that he used on the bear. It's that great honking
Oh.
thing that he was cutting the bear's throat with when everybody rode up. So that's what he looks to me like he stabbed uh, Jamie with.
Okay. All right. I wondered, why did Roger get a uniform and so many people had just nothing
I think because he was considered an officer, wasn't he?
as a minister?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll buy
I mean,
that.
I don't know if it had anything to do with him being a minister more. I think with him, um, probably just his status, social status.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wondered if Richard had taken some fencing lessons.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember if he was, didn't we see some sword fighting when he first learned? I don't remember him being that adept.
Hmm.
No,
So do you
maybe
think
he's
he
been
did that before he
practicing.
went back in time?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that they were pairing with real blades. That was like they were kind of going for it.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they were actually real blades, but they were supposed to be.
Hmm.
And it seemed like that somebody could have gotten cut. And I wanted to ask you, Antoinette, that location looked like where they filmed Ticonderoga, where you guys went on the 2023 BTS tour to the fort. Do you remember?
We never went to it. We never went to the fort.
You
We
did.
did.
Yeah, it's called
We,
Duncaron. And there was a guy with like
oh,
gorgeous hair who was your tour
oh,
guide.
yeah, yeah.
Was
That
that the
I was
same?
that day. That was that tall Allen guy who does the armory and teaches them the sword fighting. So I sat on the bus because I was sick that day.
Oh,
So,
shoot.
but that whole you're right. The woods
It looks like the same location to
right
me.
there. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Did you guys notice the dead horse?
No.
When Roger sees the guy, right, I think it's right before he sees the guy with missing a leg. There's a dead horse lying there. Of course, I saw that. I thought it was a pretty good representation of the brutality of war and just, gave you the flavor of like, wow, these people, these guys, these men really got mortally wounded or just maimed for life.
Mhm.
And war is often, fought based on greed or somebody's political agenda, but it doesn't take away from the bravery and the sacrifice that those people went through.
Mhm.
That made me think of that. I thought when Jamie put his kilt on, it was a callback to, I think it was season 5
Season 5, yeah.
when he
The
puts it
fiery
If,
on.
cross.
yeah, if
Yeah,
Tryon wants a Scot, I'll give him a Scot.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That was a callback.
Do you remember the scene when Claire's dressing his chest wound at the end, where he has his
Yes.
shirt off and then he comes outside because there's men riding up and he has his shirt open? You can see a red ring around his neck in both those scenes where Cunningham had tried to garrot him with that rope
Oh,
and
Mhm.
caused him
wow.
a rope burn. And I thought that was brilliant for them to,
Include it.
to show that, because it would have really done some. I mean, he was pulling on that, so I think it for him to have come out, with no marks, would not have been
Realistic.
believable.
Mhm.
Um, I noticed that when Elspeth slapped Jamie, Buck didn't say anything.
He did.
What did Buck say?
Yeah, he
He
said.
he
Mhm.
said, restrain yourself
Mhm.
or something like that.
Yeah, he did.
Well, but what I mean is, he didn't say I shot him in the back. She said, "You coward." So
That's true. He didn't say, "Oh, it
it
wasn't
was.
him. Come over here and slap me." I gotcha.
I also noticed that in this scene, which I like very much, of the Continental Army, their tents looked grubby and they were different colors, and they just kind of looked worn. Whereas we have seen some of the encampments in the past where everything was exactly the same color and looked pristine and so forth. So I thought that was better, done better. Um, and I noticed that there were 14 wrapped bodies that you talked about, that we saw from above. In that particular siege, 244 Continentals died. So there was way more than, of course, they couldn't show that many, but I'm just saying so that we all appreciate how many died in that particular siege. And I thought, I have to agree, I think that was really well done. It was brief, but it was took us
Powerful.
there and showed us the horrors of what they experienced. And those balls that they shot, they weren't like a bullet. They plowed through the tissues. They didn't pierce the tissues because they were a round object, and it it just they did a lot of damage.
Why does Elspeth always wear black? Is she in mourning?
He's a witch.
Yeah.
She's a witch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that answers that. Um,
Mhm.
I noticed that Jamie just threw his gorgeous coat down on the ground.
Yes, in the woods.
And I thought, someone's going to steal that. Uh,
Mhm.
Kezzy didn't seem very deaf anymore. He
Nope.
seemed like Josiah, actually. Let's see. I I did you guys notice? I noticed that William's three loves were brought up in this episode and made reference to Rachel, Jane, and Amaranthus. And I feel like he was especially vulnerable because he had had that conversation with Bree and said that he never got to say that he wanted things he wanted to say to Jane before she died. And then, he said, and then he's vulnerable because he just lost Ben. And he's saying, we both know how easy it is to lose someone you love in war. I think that's why he came to that moment,
Mhm.
because all those loves were recalled to him. That was just something I noticed. Why do you guys think that Amaranthus wanted to have sex with him? To like just seal the
She's trying
deal?
to she's trying to secure her future.
Right.
for her and her son.
But in that moment, do you think it was just like, I don't trust that this is going to happen unless he's a person of honor. So I know if he has sex with me, he will follow through and marry me.
Mary.
I think she was seducing him, and that's why she
Totally.
smiled when she heard him coming up behind her in the
Mhm.
gazebo.
Yeah. I noticed that Benjamin Cleveland didn't even look at Claire when he got off his horse.
He treats her like she's a piece of dirt.
Yeah, like she's nothing.
Yeah,
Well,
And
he's
I
a
noticed
pupil.
they didn't show him getting off his horse.
he's a devil. He's a devil.
Well, I think it's more because it probably wasn't very pretty.
Hmm.
It wouldn't have been like Jamie swinging his leg over.
No,
Oh, I also thought that the scene where the guys are all, it's the next day and they've set up tables in Jamie and Claire's place, and there's like, how's your eye? And Claire's working on Jamie. That felt like a callback to season one after their wedding when they're in the tavern and they're all around and somebody says something about Claire and there's a big fight. Did that remind anybody else of that
Yes,
scene?
it
Yeah.
did.
Okay. Yeah. I also noticed in the cool riding scene where they're all coming up, Cleveland's guys are all coming up on horseback, that would be a hard scene to ride, just coordinate all those horses. But there's a big fella in the back on a white horse.
I saw.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And he pulled the horse up and he almost lost his seat. He was like, But I bet they had to do quite a few takes to get that down. And Benjamin Cleveland, the actor who plays him, was not in that riding group, by the
No,
way.
he was not.
I looked carefully for him and he is
The-
not
Yeah,
there.
he
I
was
will
not
say
there.
that they rode very close together too,
They did.
which is really hard.
Yeah,
in that
I
kind of
mean-
a setting, they're going uphill, and it's a farm road. It's
They're
not
going downhill, and that's even harder. They're coming downhill.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought their house is on a hill.
it is, but they were somehow, maybe the one side is down a hill, the back and the up front is, maybe it's like on a
You go
hill.
like this.
So one side goes down and one side goes up, or in a little valley. But I used to ride in a quadrille group. So you're timing your horses to music and riding together. It's hard.
Yeah, I
And
would
horses
expect it
don't
to be.
like that. They're like, get away from me, and they kick and if they're not used to it. So I bet that was an interesting scene
Took
to
some
shoot.
practice, I think.
Yeah, and then when Benjamin Cleveland got off his horse, I don't know if you guys noticed the guy who next to him sidestepped his horse over because his horse was like, "Yay, I get to eat," and he's like grabbed his reins. Anyway,
I didn't notice it.
yeah, those were some skilled riders.
Did anybody notice that Trevor's head is unusually big? That is a big-headed baby.
Yeah, we can't see the rest of its body, but yes, I
If
noticed
it's he's
that.
a real baby,
He is.
big baby, because at some points he doesn't look real, and then at some points he looks real. But damn, that head. Jeez.
Well, I was thinking when she's sitting there holding him, just like, oh, you would a bolt of cloth, and she's not going to be able to do that for very long.
No.
To get her portrait done, that
Exactly.
it's too heavy.
Yeah, and she's tiny, and
Yeah,
it's
she
hard
is
to believe
tiny.
that head came out of her. That's
I'm
right,
telling you.
Antoinette. But that's a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Man, I'm sorry, I was too distracted by the gargantuan head. And
You know what it looks like? If you guys seen Bridgerton, the latest
never watched
episode, it looks
Bridgerton.
like Jonathan Bailey's baby.
Maybe it is.
I don't know who
Baby.
Jonathan
It might be
Bailey
the
is.
same baby.
Yeah, maybe
It
it's the
could
same
be.
baby. They had the same horse, so
And as you bring up Cleveland and his horse, when I was watching that scene, I said to myself, "Oh God, that poor horse."
Yeah,
He's
he's not a
That's
small fellow.
he's
and
not a
he's not
small
a
fella.
nice fellow either.
No.
Exactly.
No.
And I'll
And
just say that you guys know June June Stevenson. I know you know who she is, Antoinette
mhm, mhm.
from Scotland. She said, "I think that I think Benjamin Cleveland looks like Orson Welles."
He does
Well,
actually.
He
A
yeah,
does a
little
little
bit. He does
bit,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
he
bit.
does look like Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dating all of us, but yeah.
yeah. And as you talk about that scene, Courtney, going back to that big fight in season one,
Hmm.
one of the guys in the lodge was played one of those guys in season one. The one that
Oh,
started the fight by calling out Claire. If the camera touched on him briefly, but he has a very distinct face and black
really?
hair.
In the
Yeah,
tavern? You mean
yeah.
in the tavern
Wait,
when
so he was not with them? He was just a guy who,
He was in the
He was
tavern.
one of Jamie's men,
oh, he was. Okay.
so he was in the lodge. And I said, "Dang, here you go."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a real callback
that?
to that
Yeah.
scene.
Oh, there
Well,
were
you know,
lots
they
of
use a lot of
callbacks.
the same actors in a lot of the shows. So
Yeah, yeah, because and I noticed that there's a lot of callbacks. Roger with the dying soldier reminded me of what's his name with
Preston
the
Pan.
not Preston Pants, no, oh
The
Jesus, what's
father,
Colum's brother's name?
oh,
Dougal.
do,
Reminded me of Dougal after the hunt, where
Mm.
yeah, the Tinchel,
yeah.
where the guy got
Oh,
gored,
yeah.
and he was
Hmm.
telling him that you're gonna go home, and that scene with Roger and the dying soldier
Yeah.
really brought me back to
I
that.
guess a lot of people die with their intestines hanging out.
Yeah, Whitaker said that he and some men were hunting with the Cherokee.
Hmm.
Now I don't know what the state of free black people were in South Carolina in those days. I didn't have time to research it, but I just was curious that he said that they were hunting with the Cherokee, and I'm wondering if that is historically
Hmm.
correct.
It
That
is.
would be something that would have happened.
Yes.
Okay,
The Cherokees both owned slaves and also harbored slaves,
okay,
but they were freed. So the safest place for them to be is in a with Indians, the Native
okay,
American Indians.
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was probably the only time when they were more protected. But also in that situation, which was very interesting, and I remember thinking it at the time of the scene, was that one of the reasons why slaves and former slaves were such good spies were because they were treated as non-people, so people spoke freely in front of them as if they didn't matter.
Oh.
And that was
Mm,
why he was able to gather that information and bring it back to Jamie. Because
mm-hmm.
him listening, they didn't even treat him, they didn't regard him as enough of a person to
Right.
hide what they were doing from him.
Yeah, they didn't seem as having any power or being a threat
Mm-hmm.
to them.
Or even
Yeah.
being intelligent enough to be able to listen,
That
understand the
too.
significance of what was happening, and then report
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Catherine, will you remind our listening, what viewing audience, what your heritage is? Because I don't think we've
Mhm.
really talked about that since our very first
Yeah.
Mhm.
conversation.
It
Well,
was way
obviously,
back
if the
in season
Cherokee were
4.
in South and North Carolina, then that was before the Tears, the
Trail of
Trail.
Tears.
Trail of Tears,
Yeah.
because that was where they were, and they were basically marched from there to Oklahoma,
Oklahoma.
where they were then. The whole state of Oklahoma is actually considered a reservation,
Mm-hmm.
but there's our little pockets, which is where my great grandmother and my grandmother were born as Cherokees. Now, interestingly, we're now not sure because of DNA if they were Black Cherokees, meaning that they were slaves of Cherokees, or if they were actually Cherokee themselves. Now, my great great grandmother, based on photos, which I actually have, she very much looks like she's Cherokee. So we're assuming um, that we are, and that's so my grandmother Evelyn and my great grandmother were both born on an Oklahoma reservation, and my father obviously was not. He was, but my father, who it was very interestingly, was very dark skinned, but he had very curly hair, which is actually how I get where I got my curly hair from. I went with my mother to a powwow once, and everyone kept speaking to her as if she were Indian because everyone assumed she was. She looks Asian.
Yeah, she does kind of.
Yeah. And so everyone just assumed she was Native American and they just kept talking to her. But in her family, there is no record of there being any Native Americans. Now, there is very good record of her being Italian, of having a lot of Italian. In fact, her mother's maiden name was Mayo. So we know there is Italian. And I actually have a thalassemia minor, which is Mediterranean. So it's a form of sickle cell that's only seen among Mediterranean people. And
But
so
your mother's grandmother was a slave, right?
all of my great grandparents were slaves. Great great grandparents were slaves, except one. My maternal grandmother's family was from New York, which is a little unusual. They were not Southern, whereas my mother's father's family is South Carolinian. My father's family is from Oklahoma. His mother's family was from Oklahoma. They were not slaves, actually. They were just Native Americans there. And then my um, father's family were slaves in Alabama, and
Yeah.
they all migrated to Detroit, Michigan.
It's crazy. I mean, because when you first said this, it was years
Hmm.
ago, 2018. And, that I was
Hmm.
like, wow, this is a great discussion. But now that you're, my friend and family, I'm like, wow, that's your
Yeah.
history.
Well, it's not unusual. Like there's that, for example, in South Carolina, there's the Lumbees who are not recognized as being Native American because they are so intermingled with former slaves that the United States government would not recognize them as being Native American,
Hmm.
although they look very Native American.
What's the benefit of that?
Well, because you get free tuition, I mean, you get
Oh,
You get
compensated.
benefits. Yeah.
You get
okay.
benefit. Technically, I could get benefits because enough of my father's, because I have enough. You have to be 1/8 or more,
Okay.
and so I guess technically I just never bothered because I don't have a cultural connection to it. My grandmother died before she took me, which she promised to do, but she died before. But she grew up. They were horse breeders and they were horse trainers. Her family. And I have a picture of my grandmother on a horse when she was 3 years old. She actually knew how to ride a horse before she could walk.
Wow.
Yeah, she was put on, and her family were, um, now her grandfather was Irish from Texas and actually was a horse breeder in Texas and came to Oklahoma, who then married um, a Native American woman who, gosh, what was her? I don't remember her first name, but her last name was Taylor. I actually have a photo of her. I have, and in a moment when we take a break, I'll go grab it. So that is my great great grandmother, who is Cherokee, and she married a. Oop, I don't know if you can see. Hold on. Let me see
He
if I
looks
can.
like Marcus Garvey.
So this is who she married, who is Black. So my great grandmother, who's here, is my father's grandmother. But if you see, like, you can look through the family and kind of see there's like obviously some Native Americans in there. So it was
Yeah.
like a
I,
mixture
I can
of
see some family resemblance there
Yeah.
with you too,
yeah. I
Kathy.
look a lot like my great grandmother.
Yeah, you do.
You do
Um,
actually.
but I was on an elevator in Michigan, and this guy walked in and he said, what Indian are you? And I was like, I'm not, I'm black. And he said, no, but of the Indian that you have, what is it?
Wow.
And I was like, what? And he goes, do you want me to tell you or are you going to tell me? So I'm like, okay, I'm just curious. What? He goes, you're Cherokee. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
how did you know that? And he said, and it turns out he was chief of Michigan Cherokees.
Oh, there you go.
And at
Wow.
first I thought he was just hitting on me. I was like, come on, dude. But he was like, no, I can see it.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Let's go to medical and anatomical.
The puncture in the heart, it's very unlikely, given the angle of the knife, that it would have gone through his ribs into his heart. But that would have been fatal had it gone through between ribs. I mean, there was and Claire knew it because she seemed awfully calm for him to have a deep knife wound in that area. And the fact that although they said it was next to his nipple, but based on where it was higher, I don't maybe
I didn't really see it.
it seemed like it was here and his nipple would have been low, but they said it was lateral to his nipple. I mean, on the side of his nipple.
She said what Fanny said was it just missed his left nipple. And Claire
Mm,
said, well, that's good news, which
how? Because that's exactly where his heart sits. But anywho,
Well, it
so I'm
did
like,
look
okay.
like when he shoved his finger, when Cunningham
Hmm.
shoved his finger into the wound, it looked high.
Yeah, it
yeah.
seemed like it was higher up.
Yeah.
One, that. The other is the wound that seemed to have paralyzed Cunningham looked like it probably paralyzed him because of swelling, not because of actual hit to his spinal cord, because it seemed lateral to his spinal cord. I don't know if you saw that, Carmen, but it didn't seem like it went through at a place where it would have paralyzed him unless it was from swelling.
Darling,
But
you forgot your anatomy.
no, it looked like, I mean, this is what it looked like. It looked like to me. Maybe I need to look at it again, but it looked like this was the spine and this was the gunshot wound. That's what it looked like to me. So maybe
Yeah,
it was it through his spine
I'll
or lateral.
I have a lot to say about that. So.
Okay. Well, you would know better than I would when it comes to that. Um the other was that when they rolled him over, I mean, if like depending on what was in there, I mean that even if he hadn't been paralyzed, that movement would have could have paralyzed him. Um, and again, Carmen, you could probably discuss more than that. And the rest was just mainly basically seeing Jamie with this shirt off, which is very anatomical, I suppose. But we finally
And
got
it
to see it.
was very nice.
Yeah, he's yeah,
He
very well
does
put
Good.
look
together.
he does look like the Jamie described in the book though. You know how she says
Mm-hmm.
he's more like hardened and
Mm-hmm.
like a piece of wood instead of his younger, more
Mm-hmm.
that's
The other is it's really, really hard to knock somebody out by hitting them in the head.
is it?
And it seems like they always do that in film. They just hit them once in the head and they
Mm,
kind of fall
they
out. That's
crumple.
very hard to do. I mean, usually if that happens, there's some serious damage and it's not like they recover from it. Yeah. I'm always surprised when they do that. And I'm like, how do they do that so efficiently? But anyway,
It's in the script.
it's in the script. The other was the gunshot wound of the drummer
Mhm.
into his jaw, which depending on because it was hard to tell if it was at his jaw or below his jaw. If it was below his jaw, he would have been gone, I think. So it must have been above. Am I correct, Carmen?
I thought it was maybe very near the angle
Mm-hmm.
of his jaw. It was a little hard to tell, but he Hunter says, it missed major vessels
Our vessels. So
and
that's why I
his
thought it must have
trachea.
hit. Yeah, so I thought it must have been higher up. The
Yeah, because you've got a mess of stuff going on here.
mm-hmm,
The internal and external carotids and the common carotid, and then the external and internal veins or carotid veins are there.
mm-hmm,
there's a lot of vessels right there where he got hit. So I think it was just in a sweet spot that it didn't take a slide.
Did.
Yeah. And it was too far laterally to reach the trachea, which is here in the
Yeah, I
midline.
was really
So it
surprised
was
when he
back
said it
there.
didn't hit his trachea. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a
The
long way
other
from his trachea,
trachea,
actually.
and then the other was the obvious fatal wounds of a stomach. I mean, once you see intestines, that's it. You're done. There is nothing you can't recover, especially then without surgery and without antibiotics. I mean, the other stuff is more like, what was William playing with when he was set his hand up? But that's just, I think we all know. Although most men can't find it, but that's what we just nowadays.
That's why they have to be educated.
Exactly. I actually have a friend who's one of five people fellowship trained in sexual health in the country. And she's very interested. And she walks around with the clitoris anatomy on a chain.
She sounds like fun.
Oh, she is. You should watch. Oh, she's really good. She's everywhere now. I met her before she blew up. Now she's just like, but her name is Rachel Rubin. So if you ever want to look her up, she's got a lot of good information.
Spell her last name?
Rubin, and she's on Instagram mostly.
Okay. I'll check her out.
That's
okay,
all.
Carmen.
So, okay.
I'm excited to hear what Carmen has to say.
All right. So I have a number of things to point out. First of all, when Claire is working on his chest and he has his shirt off, I did not see the scar from his gunshot wound that went through his trapezius right here, the lower part of his neck, and came out the back. And they left that off. They got the one of his chest wall from the brand, but they missed that one. I also wanted to point out to you, did you notice Jamie's frontal vein here when he was fighting with how much it stood out when he was fighting with Cunningham? We've seen that before. Now that is not as common as people having two smaller veins, frontal veins that are parallel to each other. Sometimes they fuse and form a large one, and he has a really large one. So that's what that is. It's called the frontal vein, and it carries blood from the face back toward the heart, eventually toward the heart. I wanted to point out that that I agree. I had down the breach of the abdominal wall of the young man where he's cradling his intestines. I think that has been described in a number of situations from both the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. And oftentimes it was not necessarily a gunshot wound, but a bayonet wound that cleaves open the wall of the abdomen, and then of course the intestines being slippery and being on a mesentery comes spilling out. So Claire would not have been able to identify that ball was at the L3-4 level by palpation. You have to feel the spine and count the spines, and especially with him lying on his back like that, it flattens out the lumbar spine so that you can't feel the spinous processes of the vertebrae. That's how she would do. She would start at the lower part of the sacrum and then count backwards or up toward the head. And she did it by feel, and I just don't think that was realistic at all, that she would be able to do that. The reason why she said move your fingers and your toes was she was trying to assess the level of the damage. And she could have gotten an idea of where it was by doing that, but she wouldn't have been able to be so accurate about it. So that wasn't realistic at all. The reason why I was smiling about what you said, Kathy, when I said you forgot your anatomy is because there is no spinal cord at C3 and C4. It stops at pardon me, at L3 and 4. It stops at L1 and 2. Your spinal cord is not as long as your spine is what I'm saying. It starts out that way when you're a baby. They're both the same length, but as the body grows, the spinal cord doesn't keep up with the length of the spinal column, the bones. And so what ends up happening is that at the end of the spinal cord, there are nerves that splay out, and then they go through their respective bony ports to get to the extremities. That is called the cauda equina, and you will love that, Courtney, because it means a horse's tail, because it looks like a horse's tail. And that's what the ball would have hit. If it was at L3-4, it would have struck the cauda equina. Now that can still, because those nerves would be from lumbar and sacral levels that could have been hit by the ball, you can still get paralysis of the lower limbs from that. So you don't have to hit the spinal cord. It could have been the cauda equina, and that is what would have been hit if it was at the L3-4 level. Now, I want to tell you something interesting, and that is that there were two areas from this episode that I was able to help with in bees, in the writing of bees. And one of them was this area about the spinal cord level, because in this description, Claire says it doesn't, it didn't go through the spinal cord. Well, it had been written that the ball had hit the L4, L5 level. And I wrote to Diana and said, there is no spinal cord there. So if you want to keep the part in about the spinal cord, you need to move the placement of the ball up higher. And she ended up, I think it was T12 L1, thoracic 1, lumbar, thoracic 12, lumbar 1. That it was moved up to, and that was because I suggested it to her.
So where did they get the old version for the show?
Well, they didn't go back that far. They didn't even use what she originally used. She was at 4-5. They went 3-4. I do not know why they did that.
Maybe
Dr.
medical.
Claire forgot.
Yeah.
Because most people do.
Yeah.
The other one that I was able to advise on was Jamie's wound, because the way it was originally written, the knife cut severed his entire pectoralis major muscle, came across his sternum, and ended near the left nipple. And I pointed out to her that if he's going to end up fighting at the King's Mountain battle in just a few months' time, that would not be healed by then. Claire could stitch it together, the muscle could be stitched together, but it wouldn't have been healed. He wouldn't have been able to wield a sword or a musket or even hold a musket in that length of time, because it takes months for that much damage to repair itself. So she changed that and made it more superficial, but it was left in the part about the left nipple. So
that's so crazy that we're discussing the episode, and you're like, well, actually, I advised Diana on this is how it was written. So you actually, this medical and anatomical is rigged, Catherine. She
it was an inside job.
It was an inside job.
And this is where I've often said that what medicine is applied anatomy.
That's correct.
So we generally lose the details in our...
Yes,
like if I were a neurologist, I would remember what you said. But
I was going to say what physicians do is they retain the anatomy, which is special, which works for their specialty, and then they don't remember a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
One other thing that I noticed is that I do not believe that Claire would splash her instruments with alcohol. She would immerse them, especially because that one had a wood handle. and she would want to make sure that there was no bacteria, living bacteria with the when there's a blade in a handle like that, those are spots where bacteria can be harbored. So she would soak them. She wouldn't pour. I agree with Catherine. The laying out of the instruments was very symbolic, almost like a priest laying out the elements for a mass or something like that. So I thought that part was excellent.
The guy with his
Oh,
intestines hanging out, did
oh
you
yeah,
want to add anything on
yep.
there?
Uh, well, I did say that I think the Geordie was his name, Antoinette. Remember Geordie? He got the
Oh,
tusk ripped his belly open, and that spilled his intestines out. So in this case, that was small intestine we were looking at. I didn't see any large intestine there, but it looked to me like it possibly was a bayonet wound, and that sliced open his abdominal wall. And because uh, there is gas and food usually inside of the intestines, they bulge out and they press against our abdominal wall. So when that containment is released, they will come out of the gaping wound, and that's what we saw. And I was pleased to see that, well, anatomically, that there was blood running over his fingers, because it wouldn't be completely clean in that kind of a setting. And so I thought that was realistic. I thought that the intestines looked very realistic this time. We've seen sometimes when they look like they're made of rubber or plastic to me and not real, that it made me wonder if maybe this was from an animal and they had
mm.
used it as a prosthesis for him, because it looked very real. Um,
What did you think about his dying?
I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, it
He
seemed
just
like
it
it.
just sort of he drifted away, and I thought Roger being there with him. I cried when Roger said, "You're not alone.
Me
Hmm.
too.
I
Yeah.
God is with you, and I'm here too."
And he
And
just relaxed, like,
yeah,
oh,
he just drifted
Hmm.
off. But him saying, "Please tell Mary," and Roger saying, "I will."
yeah.
It was the
Hmm.
right thing to say to someone when they're going, to reassure them, because it's a fearsome. I think it's a fearsome thing for most people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Death is, and we none of us look forward to it. But I just thought that it was. I thought the actor did a good job in just drifting away like that, and was believable. The blood loss and the shock would be horrific, and with a wound like that. And then I also thought that Roger's response was just really appropriate and well done. And I
Carmen, what
think
do you think
that's all.
of? I just want to ask you one thing. What do you think of these scenes where they always show them closing their eyes when they die?
I am less bothered about. Oh, you mean when they? I think
Yeah,
that's
they
a
always do this.
dramatization that people do. Usually, we've seen some scenes. Remember when Jamie killed that officer, and his eyes were like this after he was dead? That doesn't happen. So the lids drift down after death, and
Yeah,
they
to
may
be.
they may not close entirely, but they just drift down. The weight of the lid and the moisture on the surface of the eyeball, there's negative pressure there, and it would let the lid drift down. So um, I thought, you know, I thought his eyes were, they were kind of not at half mast. They were lower than that. If you notice, they were just kind of slit like, and Roger, closed them thoroughly. I think it's done more as a dramatization to tell you that a closure is, a symbol of closure,
Mhm.
of death. But um, I don't, I don't know that that's done. How often that's done in real life,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know.
People probably do it because they
I've
see it in the
never seen it
movies.
happen, and all the people, and all it. Well, I've never seen it done,
Yeah,
and I've seen many people
yeah, and
die, and I've never seen anybody done.
it kind of reminds me of people always saying, well, um, Claire swore to do no harm. That is not in the
It's
oath.
not even in the oath. It is not
Not
in the
in the.
Hippocratic Oath.
It is not, and they
That's a
don't even
myth.
use that oath anymore.
No.
It is a myth, and they use the oath of Geneva and other things. It depends on the medical
It's still
school.
it's a beautiful oath, but it's just that's not in it
No,
though.
it's not in it, and it tells you about you'll promise to be faithful to Zeus and all of the Roman gods, and or Greek, uh, and so it is. That's just not in there, but it
No.
keeps going because the myth gets perpetuated. So
Yeah.
That's Kathy's Twitter handle.
what
Dr.
the
Do
myth?
No Harm. But it's not because of the oath. It was just because my name's Harmon.
Oh, okay. I
That's
always thought it
all.
was the oath.
It was just a play on my maiden name.
Got
That's
it,
all.
got it. A friend of mine's rabbi, his name is Rabbi Leader, and he wrote a book called The Beauty of What Remains.
Mhm.
And because he's sat with a lot of people who've died. And
Mhm.
when he was coming out with this book, I joined some, like, I don't remember, it was just some supporting it coming out. And, but I remember him saying that and he obviously doesn't work in war situations, but he's like, people think that you're really afraid when you die, but he said, nobody is afraid. They're
It's
not afraid
peaceful.
when they die. Like his
Unless
experiences,
they're in
people,
pain.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
Now, people are in pain when they're dying.
Well,
They're
I think
terrified.
leading up to it, when they know they're dying,
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
can
It's
have
very scary.
fear, and that it's
Oh,
very
yeah,
scary.
very.
Yeah. Well, anyway, um,
But at the moment, it's usually peaceful,
yeah.
unless it's violent in some way. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, it's pretty peaceful.
Okay. Well, did anybody have anything else to say on that? Or we'll go on to legal and lawyerly.
Nothing legal or lawyerly,
What?
except yeah, except it's a good thing William didn't marry Amaranthus, seeing that Ben is alive because she
You'd
would
be a
have been a
bigamist.
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 Well, I think that's how he's going to get out of it. I'm hoping.
Well,
No,
the thing
get
is,
out of
how
his
is he?
promise
Does
to
he
marry
know
her.
that she knows, or does he? Because
Well,
We
how is
don't
he going
know
to
that
let
she
her
knows
know?
yet.
We
well,
don't
he'll
know.
find out after he
Yeah.
lets her know.
Well, if does he let her know?
Not in the
Uh,
book.
He
um,
just avoids her after that.
oh, he does?
No,
I thought he puts her off after he
No, he
finds
Or
out
is it
went.
she's.
just at the end of the book?
it's at the end of the book,
Oh,
and
see,
then
I
he.
don't
Oh,
remember.
see, we're only halfway through.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
It's so fun being a book reader and not knowing stuff.
So,
We
It
had a
had a
lot
lot
of
of.
legal questions last time. Like,
Okay.
how can this guy be attacking Jamie on his ridge? And what about Ben the turncoat? And how can Roger be detained? Is it martial law? And what
Yeah,
about
Roger can.
children fighting?
Oh, yeah, that was allowed.
oh, that
Yeah,
was
children.
allowed
Yeah,
because
children.
children were still in factories.
Yeah, children. Yeah, child labor was. Children fought in wars all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
that was very common. Who can attack who? Oh, Cunningham on Jamie's land? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he's not supposed to, but people do stuff that they're not supposed to do all the time. And so Jamie has every right to throw him off. But I understand why Jamie doesn't just throw him off because, it would only leave him outside of Jamie's, sphere of influence to plot more and he'd be more dangerous, if Jamie couldn't have him there to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What else did we have last week, you guys? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
And could they detain Roger because of martial law?
Yeah.
Well, the
Mhm.
roads were closed also.
Exactly.
Well, he
Well, I
said you
mean,
can't leave,
we can't
Yeah.
leave. Yeah, because they're at war. They're in a posture of
And
war.
how is he can't assume he's not a spy.
Well, I mean, he gave him a uniform and said, "I'll give you, I'll give you a musket." So He was very trusting.
Well, he was,
Yeah, he could have turned
trusting,
around
let him
and
die for him. Yeah.
well, he could have turned around and shot people if he was a spy, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, he asked for a knife, a
Yes. Yeah, the
saber.
guy offered him a gun and he said he wants a sword. He's no good with a gun. Said he wants a sword. Roger
Hmm.
said.
Mm.
Hmm.
Oh well.
Okay. All right. Well,
I mean, the
BTS.
only BTS I have is that I actually spent a lot of time in Savannah. And there are a lot, I mean, a lot of what happened there is still very evident. And it's a very interesting place in that it's on a river. So you can only go so far in one direction. So actually it's ocean on one side and the Savannah River on the other. So there's only so many places you can go.
Hmm.
And so I just thought, um, being very familiar with that area and seeing how, and there's plaques everywhere about every single battle that's happened.
Yeah.
It's like you can't walk down the street without seeing, you know, um, and many of the homes, like the homes that they're in, where William and Bree are still there.
Hmm.
They're absolutely still there, and they've been renovated. A lot of people, they're very popular. And
Like, do they
yeah,
do tours and stuff
Oh
they
through?
yeah.
do tours, but the thing is, they're private homes. People have bought them and refurbished them
Wow.
Hmm.
Oh,
and got them up. Yeah, so many. Some are like museums, but for the most part, they're private.
Yeah.
They're
Or they turn
private
them into
homes.
little inns.
Yeah, or bed and
Yeah.
oh
breakfasts,
Bed
yeah.
and
or
breakfast. I
there's
love
one
Savannah.
place called the Pink House
Mm.
because they painted it pink, and that's a restaurant. But which is
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's very. If you going to Savannah is very much, you can feel the history of
Yeah.
it.
I love
Exactly
it
the
for that
same.
reason.
The old trees, the Spanish moss, the little squares that they have.
Yeah.
They all look. They've not changed much at
Not a
all.
bit.
I don't think I've
Hmm.
ever been to Savannah.
It's gorgeous. I
Beautiful,
love Savannah. I've been there
beautiful,
several
beautiful
times.
place. You can
You can
feel the
feel
history.
a sense of heaviness there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
It's very
And
haunting.
the oldest Black American church is in Savannah.
Mm.
That's still, and it's still very much there and right on. They have these little they're like parks in the middle of roundabouts, and then there's
Hmm.
houses that kind of line and they're old, antebellum type.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Um, Beautiful though.
sounds like it.
I
Okay.
was interested in the two beetles that she mentions that she wants to add to the waistcoat.
Yeah.
The fiery searcher, I'd never heard that name before, but it's an iridescent green beetle that I have seen here where I live many times, and it feeds on garden pests. But it's a beautiful beetle. They're about that big, and their back is just this beautiful iridescent green. You may have seen them and not realize that's what they are. And then the twice stabbed lady, that's a ladybug. It's black and it has two red dots on each side, meaning she was stabbed twice because it's the color of blood. And they also they're voracious feeders on garden pests. You
Hmm.
know what the 96 was
No.
that Aaron mentions that Partland is coming with the 96 from the
Hmm.
96? That
Hmm.
is a city or little town in South Carolina. And the name was given to it by trappers because they estimated that that was the distance from this town to a Cherokee village called Keowee, Keowee. That's where the 96 is.
So
Hmm.
why, what was significant about the distance to the village, I wonder?
I don't know.
Oh,
It didn't
interesting.
say. It just said that the trappers estimated that probably because they were trading furs with them or
Yeah.
trading for furs with the Cherokees. I'm not sure. The article I read didn't really say.
Hmm.
Do you know what a 25th degree Mason is?
There's
I assumed
33
a
degrees total, so that's
Yeah.
pretty high.
Well, the 25th degree Mason is someone who has demonstrated industriousness as exemplified by Benjamin Franklin, which I thought that was a really fascinating little piece of information. And finally, I looked at Lord John's windows, the louvers on them, and I thought, those look really modern. When were louvers really made? Well, the first louvered window was 1550. So, so the answer is
Well,
it's okay.
it's okay.
I love
Mhm.
it.
As an aside, my father-in-law was a Mason.
That is
Yes, I
My
amazing.
remember you
my
saying that.
husband's grandfather was a Mason.
My father is a Mason.
All right.
Really, I wear
Yeah,
his grandpa's ring. It fits my thumb perfectly.
yeah.
But
He
Wow.
had all his vestments and everything.
yeah,
The
Hmm.
two things, and his, yeah, he was
Wow.
very, very high up in the lodge.
Yeah. My
But
brother was,
the
but he
lodge is,
never got very high though. Although it is his memorial, they did a whole
yeah,
event,
yeah.
ceremony,
Hmm.
which is and I guess they have like sprigs of an evergreen
Mm.
that they have at their funerals that they do a ceremony. And actually, I have my father-in-law sprig. I kept it for Anthony, but
That's crazy. Out of the four of us have, uh,
connections to Mason.
Yeah,
yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. I didn't
mine's by
realize it was that.
marriage, not direct in my family.
Well,
But
yeah, but
yeah.
still.
Hmm.
I just had to order my father
Yeah.
a new ring because he lost his other ring.
Oh,
That masonry is frowned upon in Jamaica because, Jamaica is ultra religious and masonry is always regarded as some kind of sorcery. So it was very secretive. You weren't allowed to
yes,
discuss it, talk about it, anything like that.
yep.
How did your dad come to be in it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We didn't even know he was a mason. I think it was one of us was digging around in the closet and saw all his accoutrements, the robe and the thing and the things, and we asked him what it was, and it was thunder and lightning in that house. And
yeah, you
he
don't
took
touch
them
that
away.
stuff.
He took them away. We
Yeah.
never saw those again, and that's how we knew that he was in the lodge.
Wow. Okay, well, sit back. I have quite a bit of stuff. Jamie and Claire referenced the best laid schemes of mice and men, gang apt
Ugly,
agree.
Angley,
ugly.
Right.
Hagley.
That was written in 1785
Whoops.
by Robert Burns. So
Yeah, but
not quite
Claire would have
accurate.
known about it.
Claire would have known it.
Published
Yeah.
in a poem in 1786. So then, yeah, I wondered. And then obviously used, it was inspired the title for John Steinbeck's
I was about to say,
1937
yeah.
of Mice and Men. But so it's possible, that Claire told him, they had talked about that in the past, and
Mhm.
that's why he recited it.
Yeah, I'm sure in one of the books they had a conversation about that.
Okay.
There's Kira's told him a lot of things. Yeah, I seem to remember a conversation in one of the books where she told him about that
Yeah.
or quoted that to him.
Well, it would have had to be because it wasn't even out yet. So, and then I had looked up the dedication of the Arbroath uh, oath also, and noted that it was the anniversary, today's date. That's what made me remember that it's my blog's anniversary, actually.
Cool.
I was like, what? It also has been related to like our Declaration of Independence because it was very modern or, advanced to the idea that the people would be backing a king and it isn't just something that you would inherit kind of thing. So, some people think that could be, something that was referenced for our Declaration of Independence.
I just want to add
Mhm.
that Thomas Jefferson took a lot from the seven nations of the indigenous people, their ideas, and incorporated it into the Declaration of Independence too.
Okay. I bet he looked at a lot of different. I mean, I would if I was trying to put together like a new country that was the best thing ever. I would look what's already here and what has failed and
But I mean, there
what's
was the indigenous, the
oh
seven nations were, that was quite, was it the Seneca? I can't remember the name of it, but the Mohawks were one of them, and they were really quite. It was a confederacy of tribes, and it was quite a democratic. My understanding, it was quite a democratic enterprise, and he paid attention to the organization of that when he was writing the Declaration of Independence.
it was named that because they think it was named that because it was likely written at Arbroath Abbey by Bernard Abbott. And he was the Chancellor of Scotland at the time. I have a lot of comments from readers. We have, or I mean, readers, viewers, and listeners. We have such intelligent, interesting, and interested viewers. They're amazing. And okay, so I don't know if Susan's last name is Chas or Chase, but she said Henry Christophe became president of Haiti, the little drummer boy,
Hmm.
Oh,
in 1807, then declared himself king in 1811. In 1820, he feared a coup and killed himself with a silver bullet. At the age
Wow.
of 12, he was drummer with the rebels and participated in the Battle of Savannah in 1779.
oh, so that was
Wow.
supposed to be representing him, you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
absolutely, I think.
Hmm.
He didn't give his last name.
Just
No.
said Christoph.
Yeah.
But knowing Diane,
Several,
never,
pardon?
I said, knowing Diane, I'm not surprised at
Yeah,
all.
exactly. Several people
Well,
wrote
I
to
don't
say
know.
that Amaranthus's comment about Dawson's was in Bees. Chapter 46, Diana wrote, "You marry me, and as soon as I have a son, you can give him your title and either retire into private life and breed Dawsons or pretend to commit suicide and go off to become anyone you like."
Mm.
I forgot
I
that.
too, I didn't remember that.
Wow.
This is MG, and I said in the last thing, I didn't know if Charles would want to, if Fanny does become if they do a reunion season 9, which I'm really pushing for, and then Charles and Fanny get together, I said, Charles or William and Fanny, I said Charles might feel like a pedophile, and she said Marsley was only 15 and Fergus was 30 when they married, so it wouldn't be out of the question. And I just
But
wanted to
if
say
but
I
if
was talking
she's
about the actor.
okay. Oh.
Because Lauren Lyle was in her 20s
Hmm.
when they started. So,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, but
this Flory just turned 15. So she's
mhm.
really 15. What were you
And
going to say?
William cannot get together with Fanny in the series because he's her uncle or something.
Half
Yeah, we have
uncle.
to figure out
Consanguinity.
that
So I
we have
don't
to,
know what they're going to do with that.
Well,
yeah,
cousins married frequently in those days too, so
Hmm.
I mean,
No, but
there's ways around
his
it, I think.
father, no, but
He's a
it's
half
his half.
uncle.
yeah.
No. So it's
Yeah,
his
he's a half
father's.
uncle.
Because it's not his mother's Geneva, so um,
And Faith's mother was Claire.
Claire, so he is a half uncle.
So Faith is his half sister, um,
Bree.
just like Bree.
Mhm.
So that makes
Okay.
Faith's children his
Cousins,
nieces,
So
half
nieces.
maybe he'll
nieces.
marry Mandy. Okay. Several people said Sylvia Hardman was who you were trying to remember. Didn't you hear me yelling it at you? Remember the
Yes, when
character?
I suggested that maybe that's why he's been sent back to the brothel.
I hope we see them. I love those characters,
Yeah,
especially the little girls. But I don't
Yeah,
think we're gonna have space for that storyline with
I
only
don't think
five
so
episodes
either.
remaining.
Gail Friedman says, great discussion. William does tell Amaranthus that he's a bastard in bees. Page 809, 810. Dialogue
did
is directly from the book.
did we say that wasn't in there? That he
Yeah.
No, that was in
No,
there.
we were just saying that it was early,
No, I
but
think we
did
said
we
he
say we
didn't.
wouldn't tell them? Okay, maybe not.
Yeah. They said, remember Frank and little Brianna looking at the Revolutionary War painting at a museum?
Yeah.
Hmm.
He knew Claire would go back for a long time. He surely recognized his own wife. There's all this what did Frank know? And then people are saying, well, but the clipping in the newspaper about the fire was only in the show and not in the books, which yeah, that's fine. But there's still a lot of unknown about
You
what
mean
Frank
you mean
knew and
because he saw her with her bandana around her head in that painting that he knew she made it? Is that what they were saying?
well, yeah, they're just saying here's another example of that he knew. So why are they saying
He didn't know. Well, I
he
mean, they're
didn't
not
Well,
know?
I
saying he didn't
assumed he
know.
knew.
We didn't say he didn't know.
I
No.
I didn't
assumed
say
he
that.
knew. I mean, he was a
No,
historian.
no, why are Jamie and Claire saying, did he
Oh,
know?
of course he knew.
Yeah, I
Why
mean,
wouldn't he have looked it up?
Well, she's saying he never said anything, and I lived with him 20 years and he never said anything. She's
right.
Because Frank is
perplexed
a
Exactly.
by that.
devious bastard.
Yeah.
And the same person wants to know if the Comte is, Saint Germain is going to show up again. Who was it has a crush on him? Antoinette?
No.
No, he
Kathy?
was. I thought he was cute, but
I didn't.
not as cute as Cesar
I mean,
As his son, Fergus. Um,
Fergus.
yeah, and then she also asked, is Tom Christie going to show up again? I don't think so
I
in that
hope not.
one.
mm,
That would be too much. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
actor, great scenes, but no. We only have
Yeah.
5 episodes left. We
Right,
can't
right,
go down
right.
every rabbit hole.
Also, Joan Chapa and Amanda Stanfield told us about Sylvia Hardman too.
yeah, I couldn't
Um,
remember her name.
oh, that was Lynn Ream Montgomery who asked about the painting. Susan Chase also says, oh my God, Carmen, I am reading Bees, and Jamie asks Claire if she knew anything about Francis Marion. He tells her what he knows, and she thinks and says Walt Disney had apparently decided to omit a few things from the 1950s version of The Swamp Fox.
Well, I
Did you
forgot it was
remember
in the
that
book.
being in the
No, I
book?
did not remember it being in the book.
She says,
But
I Googled and there was Leslie Nielsen. And
that's
she
right.
put in parentheses Liam
Yeah.
Neeson with a smiley face. You can watch episodes on YouTube, Carmen.
Yes, I know. I've seen them all. I watched it as a girl.
Okay. Shandy on YouTube said, my grandfather, born in 1895, told me about having diphtheria, and the doctor came to the house and cut a chrysothyroidectomy, tracheotomy
Cricothyroid,
Cricothyroidectomy. Yeah, right here.
cricothyroidotomy.
on the kitchen
Ectomy
table.
means, yeah,
Right
that's,
there.
Wow.
yeah.
Basically, he
So
just
that
created
was
an air tube.
the white film you talked about, like
Well,
the
because above that it was
It was
covered. So
blocked.
he
So he
cut
cut
below
below it.
so that air
okay.
could go in and out through that hole. And it's called a
Yeah.
cricothyroidotomy.
And often you'll see people with scars right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Have any of you read The Space Between,
Hmm. I just don't remember it.
which is one of the novellas?
I read all of them, but I don't remember them.
Yeah, I have.
Do you, so Carmen, you proposed something from it. I don't know if you're trying to avoid spoilers or There's something about the Comte in that book. Is it one of the Lord Johns?
I want to say it's in that seven stones.
Virgins or
No,
seven
seven
stones
stones to rise and
to
fall, or
stand or fall.
stand
Yeah.
or fall. I want to say it's in that, but I'm like Kathy. It's been a while since I've read the
Yeah.
novellas and the little short stories, so I don't remember where it is. But I would start there.
Well, I'm just going to say that there's a bunch of stuff in there that is spoilers for this season. So if you want to find out about that, go read that book. Then Susie Weatherly was like, why was Charles Cunningham collecting rent for the Ridge? And I said, he was collecting rent?
No,
What?
he wasn't. Which is
Well,
what in the show?
she actually sent me the captioned versions of the pictures, and Jamie, I didn't notice because it was in the scenes with Jack, so I was very distracted. He said he was collecting rents trying to assess people's loyalties. So that's kind of weird, huh?
Hmm.
Cunningham said
Which
that,
episode was that? I don't recall him saying that.
It was 804.
and
I'll have to watch that
who
again.
said it? Who said it?
So it's in the scene, it's Jamie says it. It's in the scene where he's, coming back and saying, Cunningham was right. Everybody's a loyalist. Cunningham wasn't exaggerating. He was collecting rents trying to ascertain the loyalties of the surplus without arousing suspicion.
I would think they would be suspicious of him collecting rents. He may have lied to them and told them that he was Jamie's emissary or something like that, but they owe rent to Jamie, don't they?
Yeah, but
Yes.
he was away. But still, why would no? I mean, didn't he leave Josiah in charge? Or
Well, I
I
assume that
mean,
Cunningham was doing it on the sly. He was not open
Well, I
about
mean,
it.
they've changed that whole story arc
Yeah,
with the trading post and Cunningham
yeah,
being Crombie's partner in the trading post. So I suppose in that vein, you could see people assuming that perhaps Cunningham, together with Crombie, were
had
sort
some
of
authority.
some kind of
entrusted to look after
officials.
things in Jamie's absence. So that
Yeah,
would make sense because
yeah,
he is an authoritative figure, Cunningham.
Yeah.
yeah. But when he owed Jamie all that rent, I mean, oh, okay. And my last thing is that the guy who plays Ben is an actor, a British actor named Alex Batt, Bhat. And he's a British Indian actor based in London, UK. And he's got some different, um, credits, but he seems kind of a little bit more new on the scene. Anyway, and he's 6'2". And I did notice when I rewatched, he's really tall next to Denny.
And he's apparently a very good friend of the guy who plays Denzel Hunter.
Or at
Hmm.
least they've taken a picture together, yeah.
No, he said
Oh,
anyway, there was an Instagram story or post.
I think that's all I have for BTS. Yeah. Favorite lines? Kathy?
My favorite line was I won't say it verbatim, but when Bree was talking to William and William asked her, well, how did you get over essentially the difficulty of finding out your father was, somebody else? And she said, I spent time with him. And that was, even if I can't remember it verbatim, that was my favorite line.
I
Yeah.
got to know our father.
I got to know our father. Yeah, was it.
Mhm. Yeah.
That was a
That's
good.
my
That
favorite.
scene was well written
Mm-hmm.
and well
Yes.
done. Okay, Carmen?
My favorite was, did you tell him we killed his father? No, neither did I tell him you killed his mother.
I
I,
thought that was
it's like
hilarious.
it was just it sounded like something that Diana would write. It was just so pithy and to the point, and it was great. They both were like, "Well, let's keep it that way,
Yeah, it was
shall we?"
hilarious. Okay. I have a lot, but I'll just go down the road. He'll deny all knowledge of your radical affiliations, of course. That was William to Bree, and I just thought it was hilarious because Bree's face was like, but also like, pick your battles. Just, that was funny.
That's why later she said, you know, you have quite a few rebel friends that you or people
Or
that
a
you yeah,
loyalist. Yeah, exactly. Antoinette?
Um, my one of mine was also I got to know her that Bree said to William. I
Hmm.
got to know her father. That was one of my favorite lines. And when Roger was writing his letter, that line about that from Isaiah, here I am, send me, that was always one of my favorite lines from the Bible. Who will go? Here I am, send me.
yeah. I think my next one was it won't be today, will it? Claire says. And Jamie says, I don't think so, Claire, but I will not lie to ye. I think it will be an evil night. And I just thought that was a really good, uh, frightening, you know,
Yeah.
thing to hear. And, you know, and I thought it was sincere. He usually just definitely says, not, it won't be this time. You know, no, it won't be this time. But he didn't say that this time.
Mm-hmm.
It
I
was
don't think so,
foreshadowing.
but I
Yeah.
won't lie to you. It's
It'll
going to
be an
be an
evil
evil
night.
night. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say the first doctor that they showed, and he said, "I'm here to help. I'm here to help," to the man who was really wounded. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yes.
And he said it better than I did. Just, very like the guy's screaming and he just said, "I'm here to help. I'm here to help." And I just thought, what a great thing to hear if you're in that position.
Yeah.
And I thought he delivered it well. It was just, almost like an extra, but
Oh, me again?
hmm.
Um, my other favorite was plans fail. That's why they're called plans. I love that line.
Carmen?
I liked it when Jamie said Claire was asking him why he told Buck something, and he said he looks at her and he says, "He's one of you, Claire." It was delivered perfectly, you know, this kind of subtle sarcasm about it. Come on, you know, he travels through time like you do. I thought that
Yeah.
was good.
I had to turn on my closed captioning to see this. When Jamie disappears and Charles Cunningham runs out of the Masonic Lodge, he says, "God damn you for a plague of rats. Where is he?"
Oh, Lord. Well, I've mentioned it before that the last sentence in the Declaration of Our Growth, every time I hear it, it gives me chills. You know, for oh boy, we're fighting for freedom, for that alone which no honest man gives up, but with life itself. Those words always give me goosebumps. Reading them and hearing them. And I thought Sam's delivery was just perfect.
Jamie says, "How do I look?" Claire says, "Like the devil himself." He looked magnificent, I thought. I just, wow.
Yeah. He was very handsome in this episode.
Oh, he really
Some of
was.
those close-ups, like anyway, I think I wrote it down, whatever it was, but I liked, well, I didn't like Elspeth, but it was, one of her impulse control moments. Your husband is a pardoned traitor. He has forfeited the grace of that pardon. He has earned his
Earned.
own execution.
Oh man, I wanted to stomp her when she said
Yeah.
that.
Totally. And it came out of her mouth, and then she looked like, I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, she did. She had the decency to at least question her,
Yeah.
because I think she thinks she thinks of herself as a moral Christian lady, but
Morally
she's
superior too.
morally superior, but she says some pretty awful things to people.
And she's sitting in this woman's house. She's
Yeah,
talking about her
Exactly, drinking her
husband.
whiskey.
She's
yeah.
exactly. So, yeah, but I think that actress is
Living on her
amazing.
husband's land.
Yeah.
Exactly. Going back to
Yep.
what Carmen said about when they were talking about, I'm not gonna tell him that you killed his mom and we killed his dad. That scene was actually one of my favorite scenes because the whole setting, it looks so idyllic, the bees, the children playing with Buck, and they're casually discussing murder. It's Outlander.
That's
That
right.
tickled
It's
me so much.
yeah, because it's ridiculous,
Yes.
but it worked. I don't know why.
It tickled me so much.
Jamie talking to Cunningham, and he said, in their confrontation, he says, "Not much to talk about, save you leaving my land on foot or in a box. It's up to you." And
That
I
was my
like that.
next
Oh, I'm
one.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I just thought it was like, wow.
Yeah,
I liked Cunningham. At this point, I'm thinking dead might save me a lot of bother.
yeah.
It was just such a good back and
And
forth.
he
It was
said it with
almost like an
such a
old
sneer.
Western. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Um, and then Elspeth, move your feet, Charlie, up and down. I am mother. They're so convincing as mother and son, I think. Um, I've developed a particular species of feeling for so bad.
So dorky.
Yeah.
It was dorky.
Get him cleaned and fed and drunk. I thought that was a good guy line.
Oh, 10:30.
And then Claire says,
Oh,
send for the devil, and the devil appears. Okay, let's do standouts. Kathy, wake up! Wake up!
yeah. You're losing me too. I gotta go
Okay,
because I gotta be on the
standouts.
road early.
We'll go
Um,
quick.
Standouts.
Kathy, you go. Standouts.
Oh gosh, there's so many. Um, Actually, my standout was Roger.
Okay.
He just
Richard.
showed Richard Rankin just showed a lot of um I like I said last week, he just gets lost in his character. And he's so convincing. And in real life, he does not come off as religious at all. But in the show, he really, he's believable as, as a minister. And
Yeah.
that is skill. I mean, that's talent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Carmen.
Yeah, I would put Sam and the man who plays Cunningham. I thought they both did a really, really good job. And then the last one, and now because then you don't have to come back to me, is that I think that William, what's his name? I'm tired too.
Charles Vanderwaart.
Charles, when he is emotional, he really does that very well. He's not overly emotive, and he's not repressed. I just believe that he really has strong feelings that I can see, like when he first saw Ben, or when he first heard about Ben or told about Ben, things like that. He's just really good at that. So I think those three were just really good.
And his reaction to I know, and his reaction to what Bree was saying, he
Yes.
became emotional too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Okay, I'm gonna call out the writer Luke Schellhaus.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I really can't say enough about this episode. It's so well written. Kudos to you, Luke, and Neil McCormick, the director. I think that combination was dynamite.
Yeah.
Let's hope we see. Let's hope we see that combo again.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I just
and
have one question real quickly. I just want to ask you because it
mhm.
came up when Bree was talking to um, William about spending time with him. Why didn't he bring up his time as a child, or does he not connect the
Well,
two?
he was 5. No, I
Yeah,
think
he may not remember.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I think he does remember that, uh, at least in the book, he does remember that he remembers Jamie coming and getting him in the
When he was
fog
lost.
when he was
Yeah.
lost. Yeah.
But I think he's so angry
He
that
can't
he's
remember.
deliberately trying to repress those
Okay.
memories because he
Yeah.
doesn't want to see Jamie in any good light at all.
Mhm.
Because he
Okay.
wants Jamie to remain the villain
Yeah.
Right.
of the
Yeah.
Okay.
piece.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Okay, Antoinette, did you have any to add?
Okay, the standouts. Luke, the director, Sam, whoever played Cunningham, and the
His
little
name is
boy.
Kieran Boo.
What's his name?
Boo. Kieran, I don't know if it's Bew or Boo.
It could be
B-E-W.
Bo. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Kieran, absolutely riveting, well played. And he and Sam are dynamic in their scenes. I mean, Sam, especially, he was magnificent. His eyes, his facial expressions. He nailed Jamie in
Hmm.
this episode.
Yeah.
Really, really, Book Jamie was just coming out of his pores, and it was great to see. See,
Yeah.
when you get good material, Jesus. And I love the little boy who played Christoph.
Christoph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
For a
yeah.
young actor, I thought he had presence.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so now I've really got to sign off.
Okay, we have big themes, but before we go, I'm going to say Frances Tomalty, Mrs. Cunningham,
Oh yes. Oh
Dermot
yes.
Murtaugh as Buck. I'm going to call out Sophie. I thought she did a good job in this episode.
Yes.
And I'm going to call out Kat. And the reason is she anchored this episode in the way Sam usually anchors episodes that really feature her. I
Good point.
felt she anchored him, and we got to really see him featured, and I liked seeing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good
Okay,
point.
big theme. Catherine, sleep?
Yeah. No, my big theme is it is I was kind of wavering back and forth between loyalty, disloyalty, but I think it's more being loyal to one's convictions. And I think that, Cunningham, as problematic as he was at least being loyal to what he believed. Jamie was being loyal to what he believed, William to what he believed. Um, Roger, everyone seemed to be loyal to what they believed, including Benjamin.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Carmen?
Yeah. So I had a small one, a practical one. Jamie owns the ridge.
Get the hell off.
Yeah. But the philosophical one that I picked out of this was that mature people change with maturity. Maturity changes people. And I think we saw that I saw that in Roger. I saw that in Bree. I saw that in William. He's on his way. He may not be there, but he's on his way. I see it in Fanny as she moves forward. And of course, Jamie and Claire are the epitome of that very concept that maturity changes people. And so that's what I saw.
Okay. Mine was a little like Kathy's. I saw that I wasn't sure. It's like love and or doing the right thing is complicated. I mean, and William, I just thought about how he's gotten tangled up with these. Jane was a whore who was, a murderess. And then you got Rachel, who was a rebel and a Quaker and in love with Ian. And then you got Amaranthus, who's Ben's wife, and Ben's a traitor. I think they deserve each other, those two. And that kid needs a break on who he's attracted to, but it's complicated. And then his home, all his love is complicated. Jamie's his dad. Lord John Gray's his dad. Bree's his sister. He doesn't have any siblings. He's king and country, but he has all these rebel friends. I just think, and Roger, to do the right thing, he's like really like risking his very life. Yeah, and like you said, Kathy, is that it's the convictions are they're living their values. Like Elspeth is sitting there saying this stuff in Claire's face, even though they're both scared, they're still clinging to their convictions of he was, he's loyal to the king and loyalty is the top value here. So your husband should die. Oops, sorry. Claire is scared to death that this man's going to kill Jamie, and then she's treating him because she's, doing her conviction values that's complicated. Anyway, that's kind of what I saw. That love and doing what's right. I even like Kathy's better, like following your values. It's complicated, right?
So, yeah, well, I mean, so many big ideals and lofty ideas were discussed were treated in this episode. People talk about, oh, what are you willing to fight and die for? What are you willing, to kill for? And you might say cynically, when Jamie talks about, oh, they're fighting for freedom, is he really fighting for freedom, or is he fighting to hold on to his land and Fraser's Ridge? Is he really prepared? Is it freedom that's driving him, or to secure his family and his home and the future of the people that he loves?
I think it's
The
that.
same
So
thing. Is
people
it the
can talk
same?
all they want about lofty ideals, but practically, people have to anchor to something. And sometimes these lofty ideals don't give you the steel in your back that you need to go out and fight and kill and be willing to die. So I think Jamie is motivated by something more earthly than the idea of freedom. And that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. It doesn't always have to be lofty ideals.
I think he's fighting for the freedom to live his life the way that he wants
exactly.
to.
I didn't get the impression he was fighting for freedom for the country, the United States. It was his freedom in his land, for his,
people
that is freedom for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I do think that he brought that up kind of just to combat,
Cunningham.
Because Cunningham got everybody a little bit like, oh yeah, loyalty. So Jamie's like, wait a minute, let me get in here and appeal to your Scottish roots. And so maybe freedom, but I tend to agree with you, Antoinette. I feel like he was defending his family.
Because, at the end of the day, Jamie's all about family.
And Claire.
Yeah. That's the whole anchoring of the whole series.
Yes.
Anywho, I gotta love y'all and leave you. It was wonderful to see everybody, even though Kathy slept through most of it.
Sleep through most of it. I only slept through the last 30 minutes.
Morning tomorrow. Kathy,
we saw your medical school.
Talk to you tomorrow about the Uber thing for New York.
Okay. Okay.
All
What
right.
did you say? You saw my medical
We
school?
saw your medical school prowess there. You just went.
Okay. Love you
Oh yeah,
guys.
my
Bye.
miss. I can
Love
sleep
you,
anywhere,
Antoinette. I'll see
anywhere.
you Friday
Okay, yeah.
in New
Oh,
York,
am I
baby.
gonna? Okay, Friday. What am I doing? Oh
I
dear.
don't know.
What happened?
Carmen, where'd you go? Bye.
Carmen logged off. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, Carmen logged off.
yeah,
No,
she's there.
we can't
No,
hear you. You're muted.
Oh,
muted.
she's back.
Carmen, you're muted.
I don't
There
know if
you
I'm
are.
bit my
I
tongue.
thought we
Ah,
were leaving, so I said,
Oh.
now she left.
Okay. Good
Bye
night,
bye.
Okay.
Good
y'all.
night.
Bye, guys.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
all right.
Bye
Love you
bye.
guys.
Love you. Bye bye.
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 Love you too. Bye.